Hello, YouTube. I know that you can't see it, but this, well, not camera, it's a phone, isn't it? It's perched rather precariously on top of a tissue box, so I really hope it doesn't fall and I have to retake this video. I'd like to start off this video by mentioning that one guy that commented like 2 videos ago that he misses the podcast. Shout out to you, guy. I didn't know that anyone missed the podcast. And perhaps later this summer, there will be another episode because I'll be back in my hometown where my co-host lives. So in terms of channel updates, I think that's the only channel update potentially ever, because this is not an incredibly active channel. Now, to get to the point of this video, it's very rare that I have something to say about self-improvement anymore. Otherwise, I'd be making a lot of self-improvement type content as I did in the past. And that's not because I think that self-improvement is somehow wrong now, but it's rather that, well, there's really only so much that you can say. I mean, apart from topical stuff like, oh, look at this new figure that's a part of the community. Oh, look at how this figure isn't a part of the community anymore. The basic habits of going to the gym, meditating, journaling, working, don't really change. It's an issue that I think a lot of channels like this one have, where they just end up regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over again. But very recently, I found myself, as I think many of us do, talking to myself. But I found myself talking to myself specifically about self-improvement for the first time in a long time. So I said, well, maybe this should be a video. All a very big introduction to the point of this video that I'm sure no one really cares about anyway. But the point of this video is, why has self-improvement gotten so sad? Why is it that every edit I see on the internet of some sort of self-improvement figure is just filled with doom and despair? Like, seriously, I mean, figures like these that started everything are not good people. I mean, what they did was good, their message was good, but you know, being a coke user, a steroid user, these are not good role models. But at the heart of the message of these, at the heart of the message of earlier influencers, I'm thinking sort of the Hamza era of YouTube, the Eubanks era of YouTube, was this sort of we're all gonna make it, bro idea. And as potentially too simple, potentially condescending as that sort of message is to people that are facing legitimate struggles, it is a positive message. It is a message of hope, right? At its core, it's a message of hope. And that's what I feel like self-improvement used to be. At least that's what it was for me when I got into it, which was admittedly 4 years ago at this point, right? I mean, I started writing that initial book when I was 16, and I'm not 16 anymore. I'm 4 years older than that. So, you know, I'm 20. For those of you, I'm pretty sure everyone could figure out that math. Anyway, though, and I think that the messaging makes sense. You know, I wish I could sit here and say, well, this new messaging doesn't make sense. I mean, why are people so sad? That doesn't make sense, right? No, it does make sense. And it makes sense because it's so much easier to give up than to keep going, right? I mean, anyone who's gone to the gym for any significant period of time knows that it's easier to stop and knows how devastating setbacks are, right? I mean, this year I was sick for a little bit over 3 weeks. The doctors told me that what I had was not one virus, but apparently 2 that I somehow got at the same time, which I didn't even know was an option. I didn't know that could even happen. And during those 3 weeks, I think I lost 7 pounds, which as a guy that hovers in the 140 to 150 range is like a significant amount of pounds. And to recover that sort of lost muscle, but also lost health, lost everything, is really rough and was really rough. And I mean, all things considered, that's a minor setback, right? most people are dealing with stuff like that, especially if you want to look globally. Most people are dealing with way worse stuff like that every single day in their lives, pretty much. So I understand why this message of despair, although that's a little dramatic, but I understand why this message of hopelessness, right, as opposed to hope, is sort of sweeping the internet and probably will keep sweeping the internet for the future. It's because things are legitimately hard. I think as well that there's also something to be said about the fact that people just love cynics. I mean, I love cynics, right? I think probably, in my opinion, the best, most consistent, like video game nerd, not video game nerd is a bad way, I'm kind of a video game nerd. YouTubers, Video Game Donkey, and that guy is relentlessly cynical, just like I think probably the best commentators, Drew Gooden. Once again, these are all, who's also relentlessly cynical. Of course, these are all subjective opinions. But you look at almost anyone at the top of their field, and they are not going to be this sort of, well, I love everyone, I get along with everyone, everyone's right type of figure. They're going to be polarizing. They're going to be divisive, especially in this day and age where people just get more and more and more polarized over and over and over. So I understand why, from both a sort of lived experience and a, well, it's what the algorithms want, sort of point of view, this is happening. But I can't help but be disappointed. I mean, no one really cared about the videos that I made, apart from maybe me and my co-host who I made videos with, and perhaps a couple people, like that one guy that commented that one time. But what I'm trying to say is I am not some sort of name or face or figure within the self-improvement community currently, and I never really was. But I have been a viewer and consumer of this sort of content for 4 years now, which is a really significant chunk of my life, especially because, I wasn't really especially tuned into being conscious as a child. I could think, but you know what I'm saying. Your memories start at a certain point, which is around middle school, high school in a really cemented way. So for a huge chunk of my adult life, I've consumed this content, and it just pains me to see people lose the plot so hard. Self-improvement was never tied to a religion, nor was it tied to a moral position. But what it was tied to was this desire to be satisfied, this desire to look in the mirror and look at yourself and say, hey, I look better than I once did, right? Maybe you were struggling to put on weight, or you were struggling to lose weight, and now you look in the mirror and you say, I look better than I once did. That is the end goal. And the end goal is that you look in the mirror, and not only do you say that, but you say, and you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy with what I look like now. Now, that doesn't mean that your life's over, the end story's done. Of course, you're going to keep going and you're going to keep trying to improve and such, but that's something that you can do, right? You can be happy with how you look and still work to improve it. You can be happy with the grades you got last semester and still work to get great grades this semester. These things are not in some sort of juxtaposition. In fact, a lot of times, in fact, not in facts. A lot of times your successes build on each other. And when you get a little bit of traction, you can really start to see some sort of upward trajectory develop in your life. So really the only reason why I'm making this video is to say, you guys have lost the plot, and there's nothing stopping anyone, especially anyone viewing this video, from getting back onto the plot. There is no rule that says that once you fail, you can't come back, right? There's no rule that says if you get a bad grade on a test that you can't do well on the next test, or that if you lose some amount of weight because of sickness, that there's just no way to get that weight back. That's just not how it works. So no matter what stage of this process that you are in, right, self-improvement or just life, I'm just making this video to reaffirm the original message seen on this channel, on my book, and so on and so forth, that you've got what it takes to get better, right? And not better for the sake of appeasing someone or better for the sake of, being a better corporate drone and making more money and so on and so forth, but better for the sake of yourself, so that you can be satisfied with what it is that's going on in your life just on a day-to-day basis. So that's the video, and I have zero idea who this video is going to find. Probably no one. So to the 2 people that ended up watching this, and perhaps that one guy that commented that one time, thank you. I appreciate your support very much, and good luck with your goal, whatever it may be.